And so I was like, yeah, okay, I'll jump into his arms. And so the first time we shot it, like we blow up the door or whatever, and I run in and I jump into his arms, and as I'm jumping, I go, because I was so excited. And so we finished the scene, and Greg goes, do you realize you just squealed as you jumped into his arms? And I was like, no, I didn't. And he's like, you totally did. And I was like, wouldn't you squeal if you were jumping into his arms too?
Please welcome for the Walking Dead Princess Sanchez, Paola Lzaro. Farther down. Excellent. You got it. Keep it going. I got you. You want to do there? All right, here you go. All right.
I was just excited that there's so many seats.
Whatever works for you. Just
like
thank you so much.
I was like, you know when you get the whole row on the airplane?
Yes, it's like the whole row.
Stretch out.
So welcome.
Sorry, I have ADHD, so I just get excited about things.
We're good. First time in Pittsburgh?
First time in Pittsburgh. Can anybody recommend some good food?
Oh, they'll head to her table after the Q&A. There's a lot. This is kind of a foodie city.
Yeah, I heard something about a fish sandwich from Woolies. How do you write that?
Woolies is W-H-O. It's like Holy's, W-H-O-L-E-Y. And it's in the strip. Okay. And you'll probably want to check Permante's out, too.
Manny's house?
Permante's.
I heard about the sandwich,
the giant sandwich. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, but somebody said it wasn't that great. And I was like, wait.
You have to decide for yourself.
I know. I heard it has French fries inside, so I'm in.
It's in.
I appreciate a French fry inside a sandwich. Thank you very much.
Get the turkey. You won't be disappointed.
Okay, well, thank you so much. I will be doing that.
Aside from the food, and welcome, you have an extensive background as a playwright. How did that start, and how did that develop, or did you get to do that before got into acting? I used to write ever since I was like 7 years old, a lot of poetry and stuff like that, and my mom used to make me read it for the family, like perform it for the family. And I think that's when I started like getting into acting and stuff like that. But I wasn't going to be an actor. I was just going to stay writing. And I did undergrad in writing, dramatic writing, which is writing TV, stage, and film. And then I did my master's in playwriting. And I wasn't going to act until I met this theater company. It was Philip Seymour Hoffman's theater company. It's called the Labyrinth Theater Company in New York. And I started getting involved with them, and they would put me in plays and stuff. And I was like, guys, I don't act. Get me off the stage. Get me off the stage. And then they just kept doing it, and finally I was like, okay, I guess let's do this. And then I just went in, and I never stopped since. And they're an incredible company, and they saved my life. They just gave me a new outlet to express myself. It was beautiful. So was there ever like a particular actor or actress you looked up to as like, this is an inspiration for me to do this? Or was there anyone that's kind of mentoring you to actually take that leap?
Somebody I really admire is Benicio del Toro. He's Puerto Rican like me, and I just think he's so talented. But when I was a kid, I was obsessed with like Ace Ventura and Jim Carrey. And I don't know if you guys remember a movie with Martin Short. It was called Clifford, where he plays a little boy.
Yeah.
And I just remember being obsessed with that. I was like, this guy is so incredible. Look at how great he plays this little boy, and just larger than life characters like that are big and pop off the screen. And those are the characters that really like stuck with me for some reason.
And it's interesting because when Charles Grodin passed away, they re-released Clifford, and to a whole new audience. Now it has like this cult following.
I didn't know that.
Yes. So
I just know we had the VHS at home, and my brother got it because he worked at the video store, and I just kept watching it and imitating his faces, and I gotta rewatch it soon. But yeah, those people inspire me, like big actors that are like, larger than life characters. Yeah.
I want to bounce back to your playwriting real quick. Where do a lot of your stories originate from, and how do you go about the process of formulating it all?
A lot of the stories originate from life and things that have happened in my life and from my family, like a lot of inspiration from my crazy family. I would say that. And lately I've been inspired by music history, and I'm writing about a specific genre of music, and I've just been getting into the history of music. I love history too, and I love music, so those two worlds together and how a song comes together and how it becomes a hit or whatever. All of that stuff is super interesting to me. So I've been getting really into music history. Yeah.
So, do you consider yourself an actor that's a playwright or a playwright that acts? Or how do you balance all that?
That is a great question. I don't know. What do you think, Brad?
Brad?
That's you. Both. Yeah, I think I do. I think now I act more than I write, but I'm still working on my writing projects. Definitely. I guess a playwright who then started acting. I don't know.
Is there anyone that's more rewarding for you?
Well, writing is definitely more emotionally taxing, I think. Just like, I think writing is harder for me. Mm-hmm. You know, the focus, like I said, I have ADHD and I'm hyperactive. And so for me to sit down and actually go into that void of focus is really, really hard. So it takes me like weeks to be like, okay, I'm going to sit down. And then I just see a bug or something. And I'm like, oh, I got to clean that. And I look at that and look at the chairs. So it takes me a while to finally sit down and focus. But I love both of them. But definitely writing takes a part of my soul out of me. Yeah.
What was the first thing that you wrote that you said, this really is me. This really is my soul here.
Can you say that last part again?
Which really is deep down moves me.
This play I wrote, it's called There's Always the Hudson. We're actually trying to turn it into a film now. But it's a story about this Puerto Rican girl and this Haitian guy from Haiti that they meet in New York at a Sexual Abuse Survivors Anonymous group, where they're, working through their trauma and stuff. And it's about a night in their lives together. And it's a really beautiful buddy, friendship story and how they help each other through that trauma. That one's really close to my heart, actually. Yeah.
How often do you revise and edit? Or is it just all what you're feeling at the time and then you fine-tune it?
No, I revise and edit all the time. I'll wake up, this play I wrote a while ago, but I still think about it. And I wake up at 3 a.m. and I'll write a note where it's like, oh no, this is what that character should say. So it just keeps going. If anybody here creates and is creative, doesn't that happen to you guys where you're like, oh, I'm done with that project. And a month later, you're like, oh, I can change this or I can paint that into it, it just keeps evolving and evolving and evolving.
That's great. You mentioned musical history.
Yeah.
What exactly do you mean? I mean, is it how far back? Is it an ethnic music or is it just music in general?
Different genres, but how does a genre become what it is? Ska and reggae and dancehall music and how that develops into something else, or hip hop and how that came about. All of that stuff is super interesting to me because it's such a mixture of different sounds and different cultures that come together. Historically, let's say New York City, is the mecca of a lot of and the birthplace of a lot of music genres. And just seeing how it comes about is super interesting to me.
Do you write any music or?
I am working on some music, but I've been working on it for a while. But I'm so scared. I'm so scared because it's something new for me. So it's I'm still terrified, but whatever. It's really not that serious, What are you gonna do? Live your whole life with the fear of in fear of oh, what are people gonna think? So I'm gonna release it soon. And whatever. If people like it, fine. If they don't, fine.
It's total subjectivity.
You can't live your life in fear. You really can't.
Well, switch gears.
I mean, you can.
Yeah, you can.
You can, but...
Why?
But why? Exactly.
Switching gears to Walking Dead. How much knowledge did you have about the TV show and the comic books before you got into it?
So I had never seen the show before because I don't watch a lot of stuff because I write and I work. I'm an actor. Sometimes when you're not working, you just want to be with your family and not really be involved in any of that stuff or watch anything. I watch a lot of documentaries. So I had never seen it, and I get this audition, and they don't tell you the name of the character or anything. They're called dummy sides. So they basically give you an audition scene with a fake name. So the character name was Dulcinea, which I don't know if you guys know Don Quixote, that book. Look at him, he's like, well, Dulcinea is like Don Quixote in that text is Don Quixote's like muse. And I read Dulcinea and I was like, oh, I love Don Quixote. Like, I was like, this is really interesting. And I start reading the scene, and it's that first scene where you meet her in the city where like, in the case of the TV show where Yumiko and Ezekiel, and she's like, oh my God, hi! And it's that whole scene where she's like happy and then mad and be like, no, I'm sorry about that. No, but really, what are you guys, and I was like, oh, this character is crazy. This is amazing. This character is me when I was 7 years old, just like wild, off the walls. And that's how I started falling in love with it. And I was like, let me go watch the show, right? So I send that audition and I sit down and I start watching the show, and I'm like, how have I been missing this my whole life? I was like, why hadn't I seen this show before? And in 2 weeks, I watched all of the 9 seasons. And then I got the second audition, and by that time, I had already seen the 9 seasons. So I just fell in love with it and started reading the comic books. It was, I don't know, it was life-changing.
The character you play is really intense, but it's believable. How do you find that balance?
It's because I'm like that. Because I'm like that too. And like I said, it's me when I was like 7 years old, where like nobody understood me because I had so much energy, and I felt alone and like kind of outcast because I was so wild and like pumped and excited and this and that, and then I would get in trouble all the time, and my mom would get mad at me. It was just that intensity. I just pulled it from my own life,
And was it very close to what they had in mind for the character, what you brought into it?
I guess so, because they chose me. I think I tried to stick similar to the comic books, and to, one of my biggest things was to make sure that the people who read the comic books, that I was doing it justice for those people who were original fans of the show and the comic books. I wanted to do the character justice. Yeah.
Because it's one of those characters you watch, but you say, that is nuts, but I love it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. She's wild.
Do you get that feeling when you watch yourself? Like,
oh, God.
Or is it just kind of like self-conscious?
Sure, you get self-conscious a little bit, but then it's like, it's not like rocket science. Like, come on, let's not get so serious about it. We're just, I'm like, why don't I enjoy the work I did? And I worked so hard for this role. I worked so hard for it. So I'm really proud of the work I did, and I'm very thankful for the opportunity and the people that I met through it. Definitely.
Do you have a different acting mindset when you go from theater to film to TV? Do you approach anything differently, or just kind of feel it out naturally and go with it?
For theater, definitely you have to be a lot louder, so that the people in the actual theater can hear you. But I guess, in theater you have to be bigger with your gestures, but I haven't really thought about that much. I guess it depends on the project too, and the character you're playing, and how big they are, or how small, and
It's a scene stealer. Your character is a scene stealer.
Oh, thank you. I had so much fun. It was a dream come true.
We're going to get some questions from the audience, but I have just one more thing. Yeah. What are you currently writing or acting, or your projects that you're handling now? That you can talk about.
Oh, yeah. I'm turning that play that I told you guys about the two buddies that a night in their lives together. Turning that into a film. I'm working on a TV pitch. I'm working on 2 TV pitches right now. One is something I created, and the other one is something based on something else. But yeah, I'm just trying to write as much as I can, during this time.
It's nice.
Yeah.
Questions from the audience, raise your hand, and Kyle will come along. We have one right down front. Just raise your hand, we'll come around with the microphone.
Aren't you cold? You're not cold? I'm sorry.
So my question is, what was one of your favorite scenes to act on The Walking Dead?
I gotta say that episode Splinter, which was the episodes we shot during COVID, where it's like the train episode, where it's mostly just Princess kind of losing her mind and thinking that there's people there, but there's not really people there. That ice cream looks good. That looks good. Chocolate? Ooh, chocolate and cookie dough. I'm there. Oh, wow. Enjoy. Sorry. We were saying, scene that I really love doing that one, and the minefield scene where where she's walking them through the minefield and they're like, wait, this is a minefield? And I'm like, yeah, don't worry about it. Let me just count the steps. And that one was fun because the crew had told us, hey, do you guys want earplugs for the explosion? And we were like, probably. And they were like, yeah, no. The crew was like, no, but it's not too bad. It's just like a poof of air. And we were like, oh, well, if it's a poof of air, then we don't need earplugs. So whatever. They're like, action. We start the scene and we're walking and I'm counting. I'm counting and all of a sudden, like, I throw the canteen and bah! And it was not a poof of air. It absolutely was not. It was so loud that I jumped like a baby kangaroo. I jumped from... Oh, there we go. I jumped from where you are all the way over here into Josh and Kari's arms. And so I jump into their arms and I had just met them and nobody says cut. So we're all like looking at each other about to laugh so hard, but nobody says cut. So you can't start laughing and stop the scene. So I'm like, we're like, uh-oh. And so I go back to my little spot. And I'm standing there. I'm supposed to turn to them and say a line. And all of a sudden, I turn to them, and they're like... And I'm like, y'all can't do this to me. I just got here. And we just broke down laughing so hard. It was such a fun experience, and I'll never forget. I was like, beep, boom. Just jump into their arms.
Next question. Oh, we're in the back. And while we're headed to that question, it's such a physical show. Do you have like stunt doubles, or is it just it's a safe environment?
I worked with the stunt woman Jessica Williams. She's incredible. She came with me. She was my stunt double in the other show that I did, Obliterated, which came out in November, from the creators of Cobra Kai, but it's not for kids, so don't watch it with kids. Don't say I didn't tell you. But she was on that show too, and she is incredible, and she taught me so much about how to do the movements and stuff like that. But yeah, we definitely have stunt people. There's certain things you do yourself, but stunt people are so admirable. It's incredible what they can do. I'm just in awe constantly.
So how different is it the set of working with Obliterated than it was Walking Dead? Both super over the top shows.
Wait, has anybody seen Obliterated yet here? Okay. It was very different. Obliterated was just like a drunk party, like constantly. Not that we were drunk acting it, but Obliterated was just like Animal House. It was just like craziness. We do a scene and I'm like, are we really doing this on camera? And they're like, yep, we are. And I'm like, okay. We had a camel on the set, and the show, the camel's name is Joey. But in real life, her name is Skittles, and she's 27 years old, and she's so cute. I had never been next to a camel. I was like, this is amazing. I'm hanging out with a camel, and she peed in the middle of a serious scene and pooped at the same time. It was incredible. And nobody said cut, so all you could hear was like, and we're like, and nobody says cut, so you can't laugh. Very different sets. But, awesome crew and cast in both of them. I usually get along with everybody, so I was just having a blast in both of them, really.
What was the audition process like, Obliterated, when you read the script? It's so over the top. I mean...
Oh, for Obliterated?
Yes.
I read it and I was like, oh, this is fun. This is fun. I was like, I don't know what this is going to look like, but I'm having a good time reading these scenes. So I just put a lot of work into it, but very different worlds, both of them. You know, Walking Dead is a lot more serious than Obliterated. It's just the wildest stuff you can imagine. Just put it on camera, you know. It's like American Pie meets Ocean's 11, you know. We had so much fun. Yeah, it's like American Pie meets Ocean's 11. We just had a blast, man. We shot in Vegas. I had never been to Vegas. Yeah. A lot of fun.
I'm sorry, we'll get to your question now.
Sorry, yes.
No, you're fine. So you came onto the show a little later, and there were a bunch of characters that left before you came on. Is there someone you would have liked to do a scene with, maybe that you never did, that was on at the time, or that left before you came on?
Definitely Michonne, because in the comic books, they meet, you know, and at first Michonne is like, ugh, what is wrong with this girl? But slowly they're like on horseback. I don't know if you guys have read the comic books, but they're on horseback and Princess is just like talking, but Michonne's like, ugh, God. But then Princess says something really like smart about minorities and how it shouldn't be called minority. She says a really smart statement about that. And Michonne is like, And we start talking about that, and I would have loved to be in a scene with the Nine. And of course with Mr. Rick Grimes. I also heard he's an amazing person, so would love to meet him someday. And who knows, maybe one of the spin-offs. But yeah, and more scenes with Negan. Dude, come on. Princess and Negan would have had a lot of fun together.
Okay, you have a question? Fire away.
So you had an awesome scene with Michael James Shaw where you were explaining about your background. As a very emotional scene. And I'm wondering, what scenes have you found that after you acted, it was so emotional, you were like, guys, I need a minute. I need to go recompose myself.
I think when we were shooting the train, I don't know if you guys remember, I was talking about that episode before, but there's a moment where she tells Yumiko about what happened to her when she was a kid. And I remember we did the rehearsal of that, and I was like, I just got so emotional. I was like, oh, I need to chill. I'm gonna need to chill. So I just went into the bathroom and I was like, compose yourself. But yeah, sometimes you go there emotionally to like dark places and it's hard to come back out of it. But I mean, like I said, you have such good castmates and crew members in this that it just helps you get through the emotional aspects of it, And doing scenes with Michael was awesome. He's just the best. I was so nervous when they were casting Mercer. I was like, I hope he's not a mean guy. I hope he's not an a-hole. Sorry. And then it ended up coming out who he was, and so I hit up some friends in the business, and I was like, hey, you know this guy? I looked at his followers on Instagram and who he followed. I was like, who do we have in common? Got to see if this guy is nice or not. And I texted a couple of people, and they were like, dude, he's awesome. You're fine. And I was like, oh, okay. And he's fantastic.
And a quick follow-up, when you're writing, has there been scenes that you've written that have emotionally affected you?
Oh, yeah. I recently wrote this scene about a guy who comes back from the military, and it's like the first scene of this movie that I'm writing, and let me not get into it. It's a long story. Don't worry about it. But yes, it's very emotional stuff.
Right down front.
So, first day on set of The Walking Dead, what are some of those emotions that you were feeling?
Obviously, you're nervous to meet people, but the first person I met was Norman, and I was like, oh God, I hope he's nice, because he's so serious on the show, and so I was like, I hope he's nice in real life. He was such a sweetheart. What a sweet guy. And he just gave me a hug and he's like, welcome to the show. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm in good hands. And that was the first person I met on the set. But the night before, Eleanor, who plays Yumiko, Kari, who plays Ezekiel, and Josh McDermott, who plays Eugene, they all took me out, and Lauren Cohen was there. They all took me out to dinner the day before and paid for my dinner, and they just wanted me to feel welcome. And so when you have people like that opening their arms to you and being like, hey, come join us, it just makes it so much easier. And also in terms of the nerves of coming into a show that's been so established and being new, I had worked so hard on the audition that when you work hard on something, it's very hard to lose your footing, because you're like, no, I worked my butt off for this. I'm supposed to be here. That work mixed with how good the people were and how welcoming, it was just an incredible experience. I felt like a kid. I was like, yeah! That's a great question.
All right, any more questions? Right down here.
It's getting chilly.
Hi. So you've done playwriting, acting, and you said you're dabbling in music. What's something that you wish that you could add to your repertoire that you haven't gotten into yet?
I wish I could draw. I can't, y'all. I can't. I really can't. Like, you know, some people are like, yeah, it just takes practice. No, it does. No, I can't. Like, I don't have that in me, and I wish I could. I really admire when people draw and it looks like an actual thing, you know? Yeah, I would love to draw, but that's not going to happen, and I'm okay with that, you know? I have to be okay with that. It's not going to happen.
You got a lot going on.
I do have a lot going on.
Any last questions? Right down here. Two on you. There's three. That's awesome. You're going to be headed back to your table to sign?
Absolutely. Oh, I have my photo up now, and then I'll go
Okay,
and sign.
so she'll have a photo up after this. So if I have a photo up, but then she'll have a...
Yeah, I think so. What time is it?
We're good.
Hi, thank you.
Hi. I've met you before. Haven't I seen you before?
No, I don't think so, but
Really?
it's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
My question is just about that last comment about how you have so much going on. Can you talk a little bit about, like, what is your process, or how do you set aside time in your day? Like, how do you prioritize what you have in front of you?
I'm a mess. Yeah. It depends. I wish I had a better answer. It depends on the day. Depends on the day, but I guess when you give me a deadline for something, that's when I really get into it. But yeah, it depends. It really depends on what's going on and what projects I need to work on at the moment. But usually when I'm on set, it's pretty strict for me, and I get into it pretty quick, but the writing is the hard part, like I was telling you guys before. Yeah. But it depends.
All right.
I wish I was one of those people that was like, yeah, I wake up every day at 5:30, I hit the gym, I write 10 pages a day. I don't. But I do hit the gym, though.
So with the hustle and bustle of your life, what are some ways that you escape just to sort of you can come back and, you know, reconnect with family and friends?
Well, for one thing, wait, do you say for one thing or for one? No?
Good question. I don't know.
No. I'm trying to think of that phrase. Anyway, something that helps me center myself is the fact that I don't live in Los Angeles or in New York anymore. So I live in a very quiet area. But something that brings me back to basics and to my center is weightlifting. Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah. If you can try it, it's incredible. It's life-changing. But yeah, going to the gym is definitely something that is like my therapy. Like I get out of thinking about any problems, anything that's stressful goes away in that moment. And like I said, not living in LA or New York anymore. That'll help keep you centered, you know?
What kind of music do you listen to when you're working out?
Well, I don't listen to a lot of music when I'm working out because my trainer is through Zoom. So I gotta listen to him. But otherwise, I've been listening to a lot of dance hall music, and I don't know, it depends. I used to work out to the Godfather soundtrack, which doesn't make any sense, but like, you know, it really gave me like, it made me feel powerful. I'd just be like jogging and for some reason, doesn't make any sense, but it was great. Try it sometime.
And you have one more last question here.
So Princess basically tamed the beast of Mercer, and you got to do a lot of scenes. What was the most fun scene or most embarrassing for him scene with Michael?
Well, one of the fun scenes was, I think it's the last episode, where he's trapped in like a cell, and so we blow up the door, and then I finally get to see him. So Greg Nicotero directed that, and Greg is like, yeah, when you see him, just like jump into his arms. Mind you, Michael is huge next to me. I'm like 5'3", I'm like this. And so I was like, yeah, okay, I'll jump into his arms. And so the first time we shot it, like we blow up the door, whatever, and I run in and I jump into his arms, and as I'm jumping, I go, I was so excited. And so we finished the scene, and Greg goes, "Do you realize you just squealed as you jumped into his arms?" And I was like, no, I didn't. And he's like, "You totally did." And I was like, "Wouldn't you squeal if you were jumping into his arms too?" Yes. But no, we were really nervous. There was that scene that we had in the bed where like it's like in the morning, and so that morning we got the set, and we get in the van, and we're both like mad quiet, and I go, I'm nervous. Are you? And he's like, "Oh yeah." And so we just sat down outside like at 5:30 in the morning in the set of the Commonwealth, and we just helped each other out through the nerves. You know, it was a really cute moment, like us being like two kids, like only because we had to go like this. We had to kiss on the lips, and we were so nervous about that. It was hilarious, but to be with a scene partner that is so incredible and that is feeling the same nerves as you. We were just like two kids sitting on the fake bench in the Commonwealth, like, "You nervous?" "Yeah, I'm nervous." "Yeah." "Oh, we'll be fine, right?" "Yeah, yeah, it's okay." Just like quiet like this. It was very sweet moment.
Well, thank you so much for doing this. She's
you.
going to be doing a photo op, then signing. Can't thank you enough. I'll take one of those. Thank you, my dear.
It's frozen.
Oh, and it's warmer now. Give it up. A standing O, Paola Lzaro. There you go. That's more like it.
This is Ross Marquand, and you are watching Fandom Spotlight, which is awesome. So like, share, and subscribe. Oh, and have fun and follow your fandom.